Happy July, Flosstube! My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown into. And today we're taking the cross stitch and we're taking the paper crafting and we're putting them together in the form of trading cards. So this is my summer 2024 trading card swap show and tell. So this is a chance for you to see all of the trading cards that have come in, and then they will be in a few days sending them off in all directions around the world. So exciting, to all the different stitchers. If you do not know what a trading card is, in its just barest form, it's a 2.5 by 3.5 sort of piece of art, basically. And it was started in the late 90s, I want to say almost 1999, and you can see them as charcoal drawings, pencil drawings, hand stamped, stitched, watercolored. I've seen paper ripping. I've seen, different types of painted ones. There are so many huge options of how they can be done. And they just have to be a certain size, and they're just whatever type of work of art you create. So we have started swapping them. If you're not sure how to make them, I do have a playlist, and all of the previous show and tells, so this is our third show and tell, are on my trading card playlist, so that if you decide to jump into the next one, which will be this autumn, then and you want some ideas about finishing, jump on and watch those, because I will show each and every one and we'll talk about how they finished. You do not have to do an elaborate finish. In fact, the three I did this year are pretty basic finishes. So don't feel like you need to. If you want to go crazy and add some fun, really different finishing, go for it. But understand your stitching is beautiful enough. So please don't ever be intimidated by doing this. We're all here just to see some beautiful stitching, and it's so fun to see what people find and interpret for the different themes. So summer theme, obviously that leaves a lot open to interpretation. And so let's just get started. If I know where the stitcher stitched it from, if they've listed it, or if I've recognized the pattern, I will let you know. I don't generally put on the back of mine. Maybe I should. Generally, I put my name and the date, and sometimes I've titled it. But, if you like having where it's from, let me know too, because I can always improve how I finish the backing of mine as well. So let's just jump right in. I have always thought for a trading card, a full coverage finish would be so much fun. And this is a prime example of that. So the pattern is Rest at Sea by Sweet Annette, and it's adapted to fit the trading card size. So I'm not sure if there was more to it or whatever, but it looks just so cute and tiny as a trading card. And so you've got the full coverage sort of piece, and then around the edges, it's almost got like a postage stamp kind of look with that kind of outline. So it just works in that size. And they said that they do have the fabric here, and it's Morning Dew by DMC. So I think it's got a very, very pale sort of color to it. So there we go. Here we go. We're jumping off now. This is our first trading card for the swap. Okay, next. This one right here. This is stitched. You've got the stitched part right here. So it's layered on some fun sparkle cardstock. And then what they did for the sand here, this is sandpaper. And it's funny because when I first looked at it, I didn't know that. I was like, oh, that looks so cool. And then I felt it. I'm like, oh, that's sandpaper. Great idea. So if you needed a finish of something that was kind of sandy or tan or whatever, I'm sure we all have sandpaper running around somewhere in our house. And this is an example of kind of fussy cutting around. So you can keep it the whole, you can, either round off, square off, do whatever you want and keep a lot of the extra fabric, but you also have the option of kind of fussy cutting around. And that's where interfacing helps, because then you have the backing on it and it makes it a little bit easier. Plus, that's what you attach the interfacing to your cardstock usually. All right, so that's the next one. Alrighty, moving on. This one right here is, the pattern is called Beach House, and it is from Erin Elizabeth Designs. So again, I'm assuming a part of it. I don't know this one. I have to look this one up actually. This is hand dyed fabric. So we've got the blue So the colors match really well. And then the stitcher matched the cardstock base to, it's a little bit brighter green than the stitching. And that's a lot of fun because if you just find a coordinating color with your stitching, that right there just adds it, and it kind of frames your piece. And then the stitcher also added some brads in the corners. I'm a big fan of brads for my corners, and you'll see that 2 of my 3 have brads. Just when I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with finishing, I kind of just finish with brads. Next we have this very cute butterfly and flower. And so what the stitcher did here was they decided to give themselves the border on the sides. So that's a good idea too. Like if say it fits one side perfectly, then just do a little border on each side, and it kind of frames it that way. Great idea. This next one is a mini, well, there's portion of it. Oh, that's cool. So that the water is actually, it's a half stitch. So it's got like a little mini portion of full coverage. Does it say? It's from Just Cross Stitch, June 2028, Fisherman Dad. And so it's stitched, and then adding a, is this fabric? Yep. See, and that's another cool thing. You can add fabric as your background piece if you don't have, say, paper like the scrapbook paper, but you have some fun fabrics, you can also do that as well. So there we go. This one I recognized immediately because I did the flip through. This is from the Sweet Mossy Home, from Just Cross Stitch magazine of summer 2024. I think I added an extra 20 in there. And I remember saying, oh, this would be so cute to stitch on its own out of the piece, and it is. So now I need to stitch this. And this filled up the 2.5 by 3.5, so that you really didn't need to add anything extra with it. Okay, next. This one here is from Just Cross Stitch, August 2018, Mini Bunnies. So we have a cute little bunny flying a flag. You know, sometimes I just don't remember what I'm gonna say. And then the stitcher, they put very, very thin. It's like a thin washi tape right along the edges. That will also keep your edges from fraying. Not that it matters, because if you store them in something where they're not being handled and touched, it should be fine. But if you're worried about it, that helps with the fraying. And then they have just a cute little piece of pattern paper underneath. And it kind of gives that whole, you know, the bunny would be flying the kite right above the house, in the fields by the house. This one is a set of 3 by the stitcher, and it is, let's do the 2 that are the same design, but they did different colors. No, is it? No, it's slightly different design. It looks almost the same design. They're all kind of like a quilt block sort of look, and they are from Stitching Stars by Lori Holt, so that would make sense, wouldn't it? So here are the 2 I almost thought were the same, but if you look, there's the extra set of triangles in there. But they're both the same color scheme, but the colors are actually a little bit different. One is got the darker red here, and then the darker red is more inside. And what the stitcher did is, along the edges of the quilt block, they actually did a very thin layer, a single layer of gold, so that when you see it in person, I'm not sure if it pops on the screen, you've got this nice little gold sparkle right around it. So there was those 2, and then along the same lines, the stitcher, and this time they brought out the colors in a different way. And this is how fabric is really kind of neat. Same Stitchy Stars by Lori Holt, but the red brings out the colors a little bit differently. And then based on a color cardstock that matches the color scheme of the pieces. It's a great idea. This one I recognized right away. This is from Hands on Design. Do you know the whales that stack on top of each other? That would be this one. So the stitcher used a blue fabric, so it just looks like they're swimming in the ocean. And again, size-wise, especially given that you think about the whales are in the ocean, right? So you can use your fabric to fill the whole piece and just go with it just like that, because it's kind of like a scene that you're thinking of. Very cute. I've looked at these stitches before, this hands-on design piece, and I've said I've wanted to stitch it, and I've never stitched it, and I think it was a great idea as a trading card. Okay, next, make sure I have this right. This one is a cute little cherries. So the designer basically, they stitched it, cut out the circle, and then they have a little, I'm going to say trim, because I'm not exactly sure what kind of trim. I don't think it's not twine. I don't think it's twine, but very cute. So a matching kind of deep pink trim, which matches all the color scheme here, because there's a light pink in the red, and then we have the red and white there. And then they also took, I would say, the outer edge here, that could be a scissors that cut that out, probably was, you know, like you have pinking shears, you have all sorts of different types of scissors that do that kind of cutting. And then this looks like it's washi tape, and it perfectly matches colors. So that's a deeper red, this is almost more of a pink. So all the reds and pinks together in that. And then they decided to round off their edges, which is, it's still the same size. So that's always a fun thing if you want just a tiny little extra to change it up a little bit, round off your edges. All right, next. This one is from Cross Stitch for the Heart. I don't know if that was a magazine or a book. It says page 84. So this one again is a fun little scene. It is stitched and then layered. Looks like a little bit of pattern paper. No, it's not. You know what they did? Because it is almost the full piece, they took some washi tape, it looks like. And that's the thing too, if you only have a tiny little bit, you don't need to do a full piece of paper if you don't have it. The washi tape gave it just that little background to cover up the little bit that was showing. And it was a matching shade of blue, so it matches perfectly. Okay, this next one, this is from, it says Beach House from Erin Elizabeth, but it reminds me of the Tier Tray by Erin Elizabeth, because I stitched the Tier Tray just recently, the summer one. I don't know, I'll have to look and see, but super cute. And so this stitcher, what they decided to do was kind of round off the edges. So that's a fun, different way to do your edges. And by layering it at the bottom, it almost gives it kind of like that sky look. And then those are some stars. Those are stars with like brad, almost like a brad in the middle of, oh, it is brads. Yep. Stars with brads. And then here we have, and that's, they actually have them all four corners plus the one in the middle, because you had kind of that empty space. So that was a good idea. And then this one has got the four brads in the corners. But this one, being that the lighthouse is taller, they didn't need to do that extra one. And then the base cardstock matches pulls out the red in the piece. Okay, next. This one is, it says Go Barefoot. And this is from Cross Stitch for the Earth on page 48. And the designer found some really fun, what is that? That's fabric. And then they took, I don't know if that's washi tape. I think it is. Washi tape or pattern paper. So first they found a really fun fabric that matches the colors of the design, or maybe they matched the colors themselves. And then they kind of cut two layers. So there's two layers of grass here, which goes into the whole theme of Go Barefoot. So very cute. I recognize this one too. Actually, a couple people stitched this design. Great idea. This is from the Just Cross Stitch Summer. And this one, were they both stitched on black? I should have put them next to each other. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Nope. This one's stitched on like a chalkboard. They look great on both colors. Oh, I like it. And this is a great example of showing you slightly different shades. And are they the same? No, the black is, that would be a small count. So it would be at least a 28, I'd say. And then the charcoal gray is an Eta. So you can see the different ways you can do it and how the different colors just pop. I think you could also do it on like a navy. That would be a lot of fun too. And this stitcher decided to put the word glowing and that fills up the whole piece. This stitcher just used kind of a, decided to go with like a fluorescent sort of, to match the fluorescent stitch in the bees. So again, same design, 2 different stitchers, great way of both of them figuring out how to finish it. And that's what I love too. Oh, that would be so much fun if we picked like a similar or the same pattern and said, have everybody stitch that and see what you come up for the trading cards. That would be really neat. Oh gosh, that would be fun. A few of these are still in some plastic, depending on if I felt like I would pull at it and I didn't want to pull out anything that was pretty well tight in a plastic of sorts. So some of them might have a little bit of a glare. Isn't that a cute little tomato? Oh, that's cute. And then we have it. The scissors is in like a metallic. I don't know my metallics well enough to tell you which one it is. And then we have kind of a little strawberry coming up. So cute. And a great kind of background neutral to let the reds pop. And then the scissors look so delicate against that, because it's not, well, it's kind of a tone on tone, but it definitely helps these pieces pop. And then that's like an accessory, which scissors are an accessory, aren't they? This one here, let's see here. Oh, trading card spot. Okay. So fun. Watermelon. I mean, that speaks summer. And, you know, I've gotten such a much greater appreciation for kind of that, is it called oatmeal? What's it called? This fabric here. It has such movement, and I really need to stitch more on it, because I really like how it, as a background, it's kind of one of your basic fabrics, right? I don't know if it's a Zweigart or what it is, but it definitely has kind of that fun movement. So great choice there, because the lines, the stitcher has the lines going the same way as the watermelon, so it really kind of draws your eye in and makes sense. This one right here, does this say? This is from World of Cross Stitch Archaeology, because what summer child is not digging in the dirt or the sand or whatever? So that's a lot of fun, and a really nice blue. There might be a few other tones in that fabric too. Looking at it, there are flecks. So it's base tone blue, so it's kind of like a sky, but there are some other flecks with kind of matches with that idea of archaeology and digging. So that was a fun choice of fabric. Next one, we know this one because I did a version of this myself. This is Beaches and Bikinis by Helen D. They changed it slightly, and what a great idea. So they did beaches, bikinis, sandals, but they put books instead of the sunscreen. And I mean, we all know, right? Reading books at the beach is so much fun. And they used a neutral like I did on the stitching there. And this one is big enough. You're going to see mine to work on the, just and stand on its own. So these Helen D patterns can be great to be adapted for little trading cards. And I would say you, although usually what she shows with the image is at the bottom, but I suppose if you needed to, you needed something a little bit smaller, you could probably even adapt one of the words or take it out. All right, next. This is a fun one. This is, I don't know where it's from, it doesn't say, but it's kind of like a little snapshot of everything summer. And then you can see a very, very tiny bit of yellow. I'm just going to cover the back with the name, a yellow backing. But this one, again, filled the parameters and has so much to look at. So it's just a lot of fun. And so again, if you're not really sure, and if you're not really sure about cutting, this designer did fold it over, and that's also an option. So it's almost like you're doing, you know, when you finish on your chipboard or your comic book board or any of those things and you kind of fold over the edges. If that's your comfort level and you're a little bit uncomfortable about doing the cutting, that's also an option. This one here is super fun with the strawberry and the flowers, and again on that, oh, let me get, there we go, on the neutral to really let the strawberry pop but it is such a color that the white flowers still pop too, which is hard sometimes on a neutral. So that was a great color choice actually for the fabric. This one reminds me, sometimes if you're walking around, you have to be careful on the sidewalk. Cross stitch for the earth, frogs. Sometimes you have to be careful so you don't step on the frog. So the stitcher stitched the small little section right here, and then, you know, have the bug in the background, and then this is pattern paper. Yes. With a little bit, oh, and tiny, tiny little bits here. What they did was they framed each side with very, very thin washi tape. You can get washi tape in all different sizes, so depending on what you wanted to use. So again, it's a little bit of a side frame right there with that, because that's where the piece, so it's kind of, it's grounding the piece to that corner. This one is a fun, I mean, this just says summer right there with the sun. And I really like how they did the back stitch rays all around the sun, and the back itself is a lot of fun because it's, is that felt? Yeah, it looks like a yellow felt on the backing to match. This one here is Bee's Knees by Not Forgotten Farm. Isn't that fun? I have never seen this one. It gave me a good chuckle. And it is layered on the yellow to really bring out the whole, I mean, color of the bee and the inside of the bee. So again, sizing wise, the stitcher really just needed to do the base cardstock and bring that out, bring out the piece right there. This one right here, this is another fun way. So the stitcher, they basically stitched a little bit of a border around the edges, because their piece was basically the whole size, but they decided to kind of do a little stitched edging as well. And Sing Little Bird is what it says. I can't read that backwards. Here we have watermelon again. This is, oh, gives the information about what the swap is for. So a fun piece of watermelon, and they did it on kind of the summery kind of color. Is that a blue or a mint? I'm not really sure. It's great though, because it plays off of the rind of the watermelon. And then they just added a couple of flower embellishments to the edges. Now this is another way you can do sand. So this one right here, this is stitched from the Summer Tier. I think I don't know if I have this one or if I've said I've wanted to stitch this one, by Erin Elizabeth. Erin Elizabeth's designs, especially those tiers, have a lot of great small little pieces. So that's where they come in handy for trading cards. And this stitcher, what they did, again, they fussy cut around it. So that's kind of their central piece. And what they did was they ripped, I don't know if they ripped cardstock. They ripped and kind of distressed, you can see right here, this bottom piece, say cardstock, and so they have it in that part. And then what they did was they took a sky sort of colored pattern paper, and then they put a sun sticker on top. So they created that background scene. So much fun. Oh, and this must be the same stitcher. It is not, and I love it. So again, so fun how people's minds work, and I really love, just such great. This is so much fun because I really enjoy seeing how everybody approaches it, and you all are so creative when you do this. This is designed by Rona Nori, World of Cross Stitching. And so the stitcher, which, okay, how cute is that? The little bear and the surfboard. So what the stitcher did was they fussy cut, and they had, again, that idea of creating the scene. How wonderful. So they took a base color of paper, and and all you have to do is rip it. And depending on which direction you rip it, you decide, right? If you want to see the rip showing, if the cardstock has a white inner base, you probably wouldn't want it unless you want that white to show. You can also ink those edges. Or a lot of cardstocks are the same color all the way through. And so you would just have one side that would be a smooth rip and one side that would be kind of like a textured rip. So that's totally up to you. And then they have the cardstock base that is the sky, and they also chose the sun. Wonderful idea. This one I recognize. It's stitching with the housewives. I think most of us could recognize their certain style. So this one is Hello Summer, and let me see. Yeah, this is all the way up to the edge. So just right. And this stitcher, actually what they did was they just took a little bit of the black and folded it over the back and attached it to the back. And then their sides are cut right to the edges of the sides. So this one's a full coverage. It doesn't need anything else with it as well. We won't discuss my attempts to grow lemons on my lemon tree. That's a story for another day. This stitcher, this is fun. This stitcher used perforated paper. Another great option that I always forget about. June Snapshot by Pine Mountain Designs. So that was great because it gave kind of that background color, and then they just stitched right on it, and they created their own sort of frame. Or maybe that was part of the piece. It might be because it says June Snapshot. But it works just perfectly in the size. And you've got kind of like that scrapbook framed piece, because you've got those little, remember those edges that we would glue down? You'd have to lick it, right? And you'd glue down, and then you'd put your, well, no, you'd have to put them on the photo first, because then that would fit the photo just right. And then they'd go into the scrapbook that way. I remember those days. All right, this one right here, I don't know where this is from. But again, it's a cute little bird on top of the watermelon. And then what this stitcher did was they pulled out multiple colors. So they have the pink to pull out there. So it's actually, you know, I didn't notice at the time, they actually made the watermelon with their fabrics or their cardstocks, which is, what a great idea. They mimicked the idea of the watermelon. So you have the pink, then you went with a yellow, because the rind has got some yellow in it, and then the base of the green. And then some cute little buttons to the side. So this is an example of really taking your pattern, pulling out those colors, and just using some pieces of cardstock and layering it just so. And you have a fully kind of framed sort of piece. This one right here has a cute little charm on it. Motif taken from Camberley Sampler by Karen Kluba. So again, great idea. Take a motif from something else, stitch it, and then this stitcher added a cute little 2024 charm. So you'll always know when that was stitched and what the swap was for. And that is on a lovely blue, and they fringed the edges. I keep saying I'm going to do that. One of you lovely friends sent me a partly fringed piece and had me practice. So one of these days I'm going to fringe one of my pieces, the edges. Oh, this is a great paper choice. It almost looks like it's watercolored. So this one right here, 365 designs cross-stitched through the year. Sam Hawkins, the design is from. So the Stitcher Fussy Cut, which makes sense because now it just looks like the balloons are floating in the sky. And this is a piece of pattern paper, but it's a one full piece. So, you know, obviously sometimes with the pattern paper, they're designed so that you can put your pictures in such a way, whatever. And this one it's got kind of that watercolor look to it. It looks really neat. So basically you've got the balloons just floating over the green grass. Oh, this is another fun one where the stitcher stitched kind of the same idea. Two of them the same, which is fine because you're swapping with different people, right? So we have these two with fun summer colors. So it says Sweet Summer, and we have the watermelons, and we have a cherry on the edge. And then the third one they stitched, same idea, color scheme, but they just have all cherries. And the stitch was big enough that it is the size of the trading card. So fun. And there's something just so, I don't know, to my eyes really like just the green and the red on the white. It's just, my eyes find it very soothing. I'm not sure why, but they do. I could look at that when my eyes needed a break. Now this one is fun. This one was, let me see if it says where. Doesn't say where they're from. But what this stitcher did was they took a whole bunch of little motifs. So you've got, these could be fun. Like I'm thinking of, I don't know how big the crab and the lobster were in Summer Quaker by Lila Studio. But what basically the stitcher stitched some fish and the lobster, fussy cut them all, and then put them on a really fun, now they could have created this. They either created this themselves or they got it this way, because it almost looks like a kind of a watercolored sort of effect. So I'm not sure if the stitcher created that paper themselves or not, but it really looks neat because there's some movement. So it really looks like the fish are kind of moving within the piece itself. And again, kind of, you know, creating that, that's the ocean. So that paper layer is enough to kind of show you the whole scene. Oh, this one's fun. Now, so this one is it's from the pattern Verano by Satsuma Street. And so the stitcher stitched the sun, and then they used flat back, like the sticky crystals, and made the sun rays from that. Obviously with a yellow cardstock base to kind of go with the whole sun image. Fun, I had never thought of that. That's a great idea. This is fun. So this is from, they're all fun. Ignore that part when I say that because they are. I just love each and every one of these. Cross stitch from the earth. This one says make a wish. And what the designer did with this one, so first it's stitched on a kind of a fun tealish, light tealish. And I think they used a toile for the words because it looks like there's a little sparkle. They have a fun fabric background, but then they also have this fringe to kind of mimic, you know, when you blow those dandelions and all the white stuff goes flying everywhere. That's exactly what this is mimicking. So they kind of took in that image and put the trim like that on there. That's fun. This is kind of neat. This is actually the actual paper. This is a set by a stitcher. Does it say? This one is from Honeybee Quaker, Primrose Cottage, and this one says Summer of 2024 Summer of Cicadas. Depending on where you live, right? Hold on a second, I just dropped it. Now, I want to see, okay, I want to make sure I get the fabrics right. This one right here, if you can see, is actually stitched on a honeycomb sort of fabric. This one is stitched on the white. What they did on this one was they kind of fringed the edges to give it just that little extra look. And then these pieces of pattern paper, that's all in one. So that's kind of like that honeycomb sort of look. And then it's like a whole, it kind of reminds me of when have some like Allie Edwards, some of her scrapbooking stuff, you have different types of cards that you can do things on, and that looks like it was a preset, but it's perfect for the bugs. So we have a bee and we have a cicada. Great idea. All right, I gotta make sure I didn't put a box here, so they're kind of piling up. I don't want to lose them all. I was looking to see if this one is on perforated paper because I was thinking, so this is Lemonade Country Living. I was thinking, wouldn't this be really cute on perforated paper and made as an ornament? Especially if you have like a small little tree of summer stuff. I think it's a great idea. The stitcher stitched it, fussy cut it all around the edges and did a really much better job of fussy cutting than I normally would. So they've got all the nice little lines and ridges with it. So fun. With a fun blue background base to kind of go with the whole summer sky theme. Excuse me. This one right here, this is fun. This is stitched on a green, so it brings out the blues and the yellows really nicely. And then the stitcher used some brads for the corners. And then this is a patterned paper that is along the same lines. So you have the dots, the polka dots on the background, pattern paper, and then I was just looking at the stitching there, so nice. Then the fabric itself kind of has movement and lines, so that you've kind of added a couple different design elements, which is really kind of fun. And with hand-dyed fabric, for example, you get that kind of, that one element without really having to do anything. So this one's cute. This pattern is Watermelon, bottled by Irina Knoplich, and it's adapted. And so they have a cute little piece of watermelon, and they wrote the words, "You're one in a melon." And then they also, see, again, great minds. They created that watermelon piece with the cardstock. So the rind, the inner kind of edge, the watermelon, and then they put little stickers. So it looks like your stitching is on a piece of watermelon. Fun. Oh, this is kind of funny because we just had the ice cream truck in our neighborhood. Summer Fun, Joe Verso, designs from Cross Stitch Year. So this is the ice cream truck. We had some really fun ice cream last night. We ate ice cream before dinner, actually. And then what the stitcher did was they used some ribbon to kind of, in the same color scheme, to bring out their stitching. And that's kind of like a border for their stitching. Fun. Here we have, let's see here. This one is the French Giraffe Summer Sampler. And so they used, actually, the fabric is Marine by Bestitch Me. So it's a really fun kind of blue. And then what they did was they added all the different kind of summer things when you think about the beach. And the size-wise was adapted such that you could layer it right onto your cardstock base. Oh, speaking of ice cream, I should have done this one with the ice cream truck. This is fun. This is, doesn't say where it's from, but it's very cute. It's an ice cream cone. And then what the stitcher did was they used an edger, scissors, to edge out some fun paper that would match the pink with their ice cream. And then they also edged the top and the bottom of their trading card. So again, same size, but they just added a little design element. And they actually, what they've done here is they cut these hearts, or they probably, with your punch, they probably punched the hearts into the base cardstock, and they layered a piece of the same pattern paper that they used here underneath. So the back, and what they did was they wrote their name and information on the back of that pattern paper. I would show you the back otherwise. So that's a great idea, using the kind of the negative space and then putting the paper in the negative space. Alrighty, let's do another whale here. Super cute. I don't know, this whale looks familiar, but I can't remember where I might have seen it from. So the stitcher used brads that are, wow, really close in color to the whale color. That's great. I don't know if I would have a color like that. They're grayish, but they're kind of that charcoal gray like the whale. And then what they did was they layered it on some blue cardstock to kind of pull out the blue and, you know, kind of the summer color look. Really fun. All right, let's do some gnomes. We have a set of 2 here. Gnomes are by Jardin Privé. I wonder if it's that, you know, Jardin Privé has kind of the whole gnome scenes. I wonder if that's where those are from. So they fit just perfectly, and then they are both fringed, and they both have a little bit of a stitched outline to kind of give them that kind of border. And then the fringe finishes it off, so it's basically the full size of the piece. So we have a gnome with flowers and a gnome with the mushroom and the tree and the butterflies. Really cute. I've looked at those and said those would make good trading card designs. I just never got around to it. Alrighty, this one is from Just Cross Stitch, June of 2018. This is probably set, remember the bunny we had earlier, flying the kite? I wonder if it's from the same set. This one was stitched in pink, so what they did was they did a pink fabric as their base, and then again, that super skinny tape. And what they did was they framed their piece. And that also gives it a little bit of room from the pattern paper and gives you that break so that it's just not right against the pattern paper. This one is from Better Homes and Garden Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, July, August of 1992. There we go. Make sure I have it the right way. So this one right here has got again, so it's the same, you can tell it's the same stitcher. The same fabric, but one is pink and one is blue. And you kind of that plaid sort of look. So they pulled this one out to bring out all the colors in their piece. And then what they did with this one was they put some thin washi tape along the edges for kind of like a cornered look. This one here, we have a stitched bird on, again, I would say some sort of hand-dyed fabric, which again has some movement, which is really kind of cool. So the bird is sitting on the outside and you've got the stitching right there. And it looks like that is a navy sort of cardstock on the base. So pull out, and the darker navy against the lighter blue kind of pulls out that blue. This one, I don't know if this is a Satsuma. Yeah, I was going to say it looks like a Satsuma with the colors. It is also part of the Verano pattern. So again, fussy cut and layered with a piece of cardstock that matches the colors seen within the piece. So this stitcher took that one pattern and got 2 different trading cards out of it. So fun to pick all the little pieces out of different patterns. I really like doing that. This one right here, Needle Magic Ink Stitch and Frame, number 3775. So this one was fun as a circle. So the stitcher stitched it right along the size of the circle, and then they layered it with some fabric that would match color-wise. So it's kind of layered on some really pretty fabric. This one right here, this is a fun watermelon, and what the stitcher did, so they actually stitched in summer 2024, so that's fun if you want to do that. And then they created, it's really fun. So there's the zigzag plus then also a line. I don't know if that was, can you do that? Something this small with a sewing machine, or would you have to do all that by hand? Either way, it's really neat. And it frames it nicely, and then you have the pink cardstock base to bring out the pink a little bit in the piece. Here we have kind of another full coverage stitch with the summer theme. And what they did was they put a sticker that says summer, and they have 2 layers of cardstock. So they did one with the blue to kind of frame and pull out the blues, and then they based it on a kind of like a, I wanted to say marigold. It's not the color I'm looking for. It's in my brain, you know, kind of that deep yellow, and that pulls out all of the other colors. So with the double frame, they just pick colors from their piece. And this, if you get this one, there is a lovely kind of poem on the back about summer. Alrighty, this one right here. So this is fun. This has got a few different kind of borders. So you have the stitching in the middle, and it's got down to the sea in ships. And then they have this stitched kind of border right there. Then they have a back stitched. What they did was they framed it with a back stitch, and then they fringed it. So that's a lot of fun. So it's got multiple different ways to bring out kind of celebrating kind of borders and the look, and it's on a blue, which is perfect for the sea, right? And then everything is on kind of that bluish navy background to kind of pull out all the shades. So much fun. This one right here is from Plaid Bucilla Birdhouse, and it is on, this is kind of a sparkly pattern paper. So you actually have glitter and the such right here, glitter and the like. And this is fussy cut out to go with the flowers in the background of the bird and the birdhouse. Alrighty, what's next here? This one right here is from Doreen Jones, and it is a cute little mermaid. The pattern is called Make Waves. And so again, this was fussy cut, and so this way she could have a background, the design, the stitcher could have the background of a, they pulled out the colors here as their base, and then they used some brads that match the color of the mermaid's, kind of the deeper colors. So again, all sorts of color matching going on right there. This one right here we have from Summer Sampler by French Giraffe. And we have the fun the bathing suit, the sunglasses, and the flip-flops. And this is, you can see here, the card or the pattern paper, it's a thicker, it's like a cardstock piece, is an umbrella at the beach, which is so much fun. And then this is a little kind of sticker on top with a flower. But that was, you know, kind of cool. You fussy cut and you put it on something that creates the scene for you. And all the colors match because you've got the purple and the umbrella. This one right here says be happy, super cute. And so it's stitched and then it is fringed at the edges, and then the pattern paper in the background matches, oh, pretty good, because it's almost like a marbled color. And then the color of the kind of the flying line matches really nicely against the marbled color of the pattern paper. So it all ties in perfectly. This guy cracks me up. Seagull, kind of a squat little seagull. And then they have, I don't know, is that it's a button, it looks like, because it's sewed on. So we have a button of a seagull flying, and then the edges are fringed. And they did a base cardstock to really just match the colors of the, I was gonna say penguins, they're not penguins, seagulls. This one looks like a Doreen Jones. Yep, Flowers and Ladybirds by Doreen Jones. So this piece right here, again, fills the edges of the 2.5 by 3.5. So really, you just do the stitching and then you layer it right on the piece. So fun. Doreen Jones, you can tell Doreen Jones. She has a distinct style. Lots of fun, though, with the ladybugs and the flowers. Good summer piece. Here we have, oh, that's cute, 2 little stitch pieces. Oh, in those wings. Oh, wow. So this entire dragonfly is stitched in metallics. So there's all those colors are actually all metallics. And then it looks like regular thread for kind of the veins and the outline, the back stitch. And they use some beads for the top. And then down here in the flower, we have a little flower. So you have the dragonfly over the flower, flying over the flower. That's fun, but that is really neat. Looking at it close, everything sparkles on that one. This one right here, oh yes, I wasn't sure if this was Doreen Jones or not. Summer Sea Ornament by Doreen Jones, adapted to fit the trading card size. So cut evenly all the way around the edge and having a blue background base that matches the colors. So again, you're framing your stitch piece. And it just gives it that nice finished look. Nice. This one here, where's this one from? Does it say? Sweet Annette on Etsy. This is in a plastic, so I'm going to keep it in there because it's in there pretty tight. But this piece right here is stitched. Okay, so this is also a fun idea what you can do. So you've got the stitched area right here, and that is full coverage, totally stitched. And then what they did was they did the same size border where they cut their piece to what was going to be bordered on their base cardstock. So looking at it, you almost look, and it looks like there's the double layers, but one of them is just I think it's 2 extra, maybe 1.5, around the extra of the fabric. But by doing that, you're actually creating that extra layer for yourself. This is a cute little seahorse. And what is this? This looks like pattern paper. So it is sort of fussy cut, but just basically, I would say freehand cut shaped wise. And then on a really fun pattern paper that really brings out the colors of the seahorse. That's fun. I need to do some more fussy cutting. I'm really loving how all of you are fussy cutting these pieces. This one right here, it's called Butterflies in Summer. So you have a stitched butterfly, and then you have a sticker. So you have the sticker that kind of is like the fairy and fairy with some flowers, which goes really nicely with the colors of the butterfly and the whole idea of fairies and butterfly and all of that. And then a base cardstock that kind of ties it all in together. And I like how the cardstock is laid with the design horizontally, so it kind of gives everything motion that way rather than it being in another direction and competing. This one right here is Summer Picnic, taken from Cottage Gardens Plum Street Heartstring Sampling. So that's a fun idea. She must have taken from 3 different patterns and created her own summer scene. So we have watermelon and we have lemonade, it looks like, and butterflies and ladybug. And so that's fun because that way you just kind of create your own little stitch piece and you have a whole summer scene. And is that with a yellow base cardstock on the back. Speaking of butterflies, oh, that's fun. So that looks like that's a charm. So we have a stitched butterfly here. And then what they did was they added a charm piece to it and they have it kind of hanging from the edge there. So you have a stitched butterfly and a charmed butterfly, all on the blue. All right, where's this from? Doesn't say. Very cute though. We have sunglasses, but look at the sunglasses. You actually have the scene of the summer inside. That's a lot of fun. I wonder where this is from. I like that. And then they did, because it's kind of this thin piece, what they did was they kept it pretty much along the edges here over their base cardstock with some little stickery embellishments. So you have 3 smaller pieces right here of flowers and then 1 larger one on that corner. Fun. I recognize this design. This is from JBW Designs. And it is Seaside Series 2. And the stitcher then put it on some base cardstock that really doesn't, kind of looks like shell, like an inside of a shell when you look at it. So that was a great choice of color. And again, the stitcher, so this, they gave, because it was the same height this way, then they only needed to give themselves the corner edges. Kind of bring out the color of the piece right there. Make sure I have this one right. This is fun. So this one, the stitcher used 3 different types of twine that match the colors of the fish. And I like using twine a lot. I used to use it with my cards sometimes at the bottoms or whatever, tops, to kind of give that little extra look. And because it's, this is baker's twine, because it's the color and white, it really matches the fish really nicely because they have kind of the white within them too. I'm going to recognize this one because this is part of Seaside Tiny Town and you're going to see my version of that in just a minute. So much fun. This one is fringed and then just finished on a base of kind of like a reddish to match the color of In the Lighthouse. Great idea. So it's amazing to me how your fabric choice informs the look of the piece. And what was really nice here is this is a kind of a neutral, but then they really pulled out the color here. So it gives it that almost nostalgic vibe and look to it. So fun. We have a flamingo. Because, you know, it's summertime, we need a flamingo. And this right here, so what they did here, the stitcher, was this is the pattern paper. And then they created just, not created, but they have some stickers. So they created almost like that. It looks like you're in the pond. And then you know how you have the grass that comes out around the ponds and the water. So they have that right there. And then fussy cut and place their flamingo right in the center of that to create the scene. So it looks like the flamingos are right in the pond. And then the last ones that are not mine is a lighthouse. And so this stitcher used, it looks like ribbon, a shiny, well, no, you know, I think it's probably washi tape. They're both washi tapes. One's a shiny look. It kind of reminded me of ribbon actually. And one is kind of a glittery sparkle one. That's more matte. And so their piece worked really well up here, and what they did then, base cardstock to match with the blue, and then they found a couple washi tapes to pretty much just frame the bottom. You know, if you've watched and looked at my scrapbooks, you know I like that kind of double look. I do that a lot with my scrapbook pieces. And then you've seen mine, but I will show you them one more time. I made 3. This one right here is from a Lizzie Kate design, and I framed this one tight with the brads. I wasn't exactly sure which way I wanted to go with it, so I just went with the tight frame of the brads. And this one right here is the lighthouse from Seaside Tiny Town, but I had stitched it on a blue. And then you had seen it at the last video. I had created the water with the rickrack die and pattern paper, 4 different colors of paper. And then I just decided it needed something else. So I just put a couple of brads in the corners. I think I put them a little bit too close to the corners. If I was to do it again, but the holes are already made now, so they're thin, I might have brought it in slightly a little bit more. But that just kind of finishes off the top. And then this one is just stitched. There is no extra to it. And this is the Helen D design that I showed you earlier. This is, I used the colors for this part that Helen had charted, but then I changed up the colors of the flip-flop. I used the pink is actually a variegated floss, and then the purple, I just pulled the purple. And then I used a pink cardstock to pull out the color of the flip-flops. So those are the 3 that I created. So that's it. Those are the summer pieces in a nutshell. So now Mo knows that we are going to be in swap mode, and that's how he's going to spend his 4th of July weekend holiday. He's good. He knows he's fun. He's like, I got it down now. I've done it. No problem. So we will be working on your swaps and getting those out to you. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of the wonderful ideas. And I will be back in August to tell you what the theme for the fall autumn 2024 swap is. So hopefully you will be, if you've never joined before, they're a lot of fun. If you've had to take a break because you've been busy, maybe you'll come back. But thanks to each and every one of you who have participated. Really enjoyed seeing all of them. And until we talk again, happy stitching.